So today I'm going to go over a trade that I took in London session today, and we're going to base it on what I see here. So USD CAD and the XY. The trade was taken on USD CAD, and the date is Monday the 15th, 2025. Okay, so um, this is the trade that I took. Okay, as you can see, I had my levels drawn out, and if I just pull price back to the start of London here, okay, and I'll show exactly what was going through my mind and why I took the trade I did. Okay, so as you can see here, this was the 1 a.m. candle printed into a bearish 1 hour FEG. Okay, so this was right here around 1 o'clock. I'm starting to get onto the screen. I'm looking for a potential setup. Okay, we can move price 1 hour forward because this is where at this point, the 1 a.m. till the 2 a.m. candle, this move here in London, the start of the London second hour of the 4 hour cycle, we go above this previous hour's high, close back below it, whilst wicking it inside a 1 hour fair value gap. Now, if we go up to a daily time frame, okay, in fact, let's go up to a weekly time frame because that's where the trade idea is based off of. Okay, we're coming into the week, and as you can see here, this is this piece of price action, the last three candles. This is today's. This is Friday's candle. Okay, so what did we do on Friday? If we go over to this actual part of the chart where you can see it. Okay, Friday last week, well, last week's candle, we come into this weekly FEG, which has been tagged once, twice already. Okay, we tag it again and we close back below the range. Okay, so now once we take this high, which we can also mark onto the chart. Okay, so close below previous week's high. Yep. Okay, so now that we have that on, you don't really need it on, but I'll put it on for a visual for the video. Okay, so now we close back below after tagging a weekly fair value gap. My instinct now is this candle to push down and target the liquidity that's resting below. Okay, now our overall drawn liquidity is quite a way down, but we have this area and this swing point to target. Okay, we could also target previous week's low also, which is a little bit more within reach at the moment. So this was my idea going into the week. Okay, so as you can see here, if we just have a look at this USD CAD, which is what I had. So we have internal to external range here ticked. We have a short position is what we're looking for, and we have weekly 4 hour 15 minutes. Okay, so this is what we're looking for to get into a trade. Now, if I just brief over what I've said here, so we can see the previous month closed very bearish after sweeping the prior month's high. Okay, so if we go up and have a look at that on the monthly, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is August price action, goes above, sweeps July's high and closes back below. Now September, as I do go on to state in the weekly outlook, September has put in some bullish PA so far. Okay, and you can see that we open up down here, we're up so far, and now we're starting as we get into the middle of the month, as you can see here. We've opened, we put in a high for the month. We shouldn't be going back above this high realistically, and then hopefully continue to put lows in throughout the rest of the month. So that's the higher time frame there. I also do have this internal range marked out. We don't necessarily need to tag into this, as you'll see when we drop onto the weekly, why I'm taking trades. Okay, so the idea is to go short. We have this weekly range, we tag into it, we push lower, market structure shift again, and then price sort of consolidates around, creates lots of low resistance liquidity for us to target now. And for me, I would have also took a trade here on this week if I was trading this pair. Exactly the same reason. We tag in, close below the previous week's high, range goes to the low, and that would be complete CRT or whatever you want to call it. Then price didn't give us nothing here at the start of September, and then last week we create the range for this week, okay, which is where we're going to look to aim down here. And then ultimately, I really do believe that this month should be the month where we start to put in the lows, okay? So today we're looking at the weekly FEG. We know we're going lower from our weekly watch list, okay? We have everything marked out. In the weekly watch list, I also state that the daily is quite sloppy. There isn't really much going on. Sort of printing higher, we come here, we make a market structure shift here on the daily time frame, price comes back up, you could somewhat say we've tagged into this daily FEG and we're not breaking higher, which is good. Okay. We pulled the 50% fib also. You can see that we're now in a premium, so we can take trades. We're above that 50% level. Price should be ready to go lower if that is the case. Okay. So that's the only thing on the daily that I was looking for. So if we go from weekly, which we're here, this is what we're seeing this morning. We go to the 4 hour. Okay. So why on the 4 hour have I taken this trade? Okay. So as you can see, price creates this high up here, and then we have really good bearish candles down back to back. Okay. This is on Thursday. We leave a 4 hour fair value gap. Friday prints price out. New York AM sweeps this high here, closes back around 50% of the range, does nothing on Friday afternoon as expected. So today in Asia session, we tagged into this 4 hour fair value gap one more time. Okay. And then from here on out, I'm looking for shorts. Okay. You could say this is a market structure shift. We didn't really get the body close below, but it is a 4 hour time frame. So I'm not as specific with it on this time frame. Just as long as I see that we are changing in structure, I will happily target areas on the lower time frames. So going into London, I've got all the higher time frame bias to go lower. Okay. I do go on here and have we got a weekly draw? Yes. 4 hour structure? Yes. And a 15-minute or 5-minute entry. Okay. This was all ticked this morning. Okay. I took it off purely because I'm done for the day. This trade's done. So we've got the 4 hour structure, which we know is now going lower. Price is printing lower movements. Okay. We got this nice area here that we wanted to target, which you can see did get targeted and did get swept. We go on to the 1 hour. Okay. So it's just dropping down time frames. We're building up this confidences to go lower. Okay. We can see also we have a 1 hour fair value gap here. It's a little bit disrespected. No problem. Price comes down, has another structure shift on the 1 hour, goes into Asia. Price prints a little bit higher, comes down. Now, on the 1 hour, we don't necessarily need to see the structure change because we're looking for it on the 4 hour anyways. And we're basically basing our candle off of a 4 hour cycle. And we know that from how I trade. So obviously we have this 1 AM candle, which is the first hour. Price has this lovely 1 hour FEG to tag into, which it does. Okay, so already here I've got my alerts on the FEG. It goes off. I'm looking for a trade. Nothing happens at 1 AM. Price comes in at 2 AM. And if I pull the chart back to here, which is the 3 AM candle, this is where I got my trade and my entry because this is where I felt it was optimal for us to go lower at this point. Okay. So if we come on to the 15-minute, you can see we tag that 1 hour FEG, that will stay on the chart. And we've tagged this 15-minute fair value gap also, okay? Respected it. Price prints lower at the back end of the 2 hour to the 2 AM to the 3 AM candle. Okay, we jump down to the 5-minute candle, which is where we took our trade, as you can see here. Price is starting to print lower. The back end of the hour is always slow, as you see here. What does it do? It tags this 5-minute FEG again. Somewhat, again, you could call this a market structure shift. I prefer a body close below on the lower time frames. Okay. But this is how we was looking. Okay. This is what I was looking at. So price opens up, goes higher. You see how it doesn't disrespect this high up here set in London. Okay. In the middle of the Asia range, but ultimately respecting the 1 hour fair value gap. Okay. If I just pull that over. So we print up first 5 minutes. Now, at this moment in time, all I'm looking for is a shift down, just to confirm that we are indeed continuing lower, okay? Price starts to make that push. Okay, what do we see here? Okay, right, so we've got no fair value gap printed off the first push. We get this move here, okay? And at this point, on my broker, we did in fact have a fair value gap left in here, okay? So I already knew what lot size I wanted to use, and I already knew the trade I wanted to get into. So I was ready, waiting with the rough lot size to get in. And the fair value gap did form on the trade on the broker. Okay, as I can show, I believe this is it here. Where is it? yeah, as you can see, look, we have this fair value gap that did form on the broker. Okay, so when this candle pushed up at the start of the 3 a.m. candle, I entered here. Okay, which is exactly what I wanted to do. It just didn't seem, for some reason, it didn't print out on this FXCM. Okay, so price tags me in on the broker here, which is that same candle as I can show. This is that blue candle that goes to the upside is this candle here. Okay, price then pushes back down, and I believe it starts to linger around for a little bit. Yep. At this point, when price pushed up, I was starting to think that I may have misjudged where I put my stop. Okay. Um, Originally, I probably should have had it above the London high, but for the trade idea to be correct, I didn't believe that price should go above this level. Okay. So my idea was have my stop here due to spreads and things. Obviously, that's why it's at this level here. But this was the area that I thought, okay, price comes back up here. It's most likely going to take London and then continue to take Asia, and then we'll have to go from there. But so what I did at this point, when price was really quite pulling back really aggressively, I jumped over to a DXY chart. Okay, which you can see here is still in sync. Okay, and just had to check that the times is still the same. So price on the 15 minute is a little bit clearer. We can see that price comes down here and is pulling back into this 15-minute fair value gap on the DXY. Okay, so that would mean if the DXY is bullish, as it's the dollar, it's going to pull the USD CAD pair to the upside. Okay, and that's exactly what it did. So I just wanted to be a little bit cautious. So I moved my stops above the Asia level. Okay, now I in no way, shape, or form was I probably ever going to take a loss up here, but I just wanted to not get tagged here or here and get wicked. Okay, so I knew probably with spreads, if I put my stop there, I'll get taken out at about this level, which would be above here, and would literally be very frustrating if you get wicked out. Okay, so I've got the experience from my prior market experience and from my back testing that just be safe. I'm happy to risk 2% per trade, anyways. So that's why I always go in with a 1% initial risk. So price here, I'm expecting this DXY on the 5 minute also, but the 15 minute was where I was looking because it was very clear. This 15 minute fair value gap, I was expecting it to probably get filled going into the 4 a.m. candle. And if you have a look, when we go down to USD CAD again, that is what price does. Okay. Now, at the time, where are we? One more candle. So this is how we closed at 4 to go into that 4 a.m. candle. Okay. Now, at the time, I did put in my journal, I didn't like the way this 1 hour was forming. But with the higher time frame on side to go to the downside, I was looking at the 1 hour fair value gap to go lower. Okay. So I wasn't really panicking at this point. I was sort of just thinking, okay, we've probably had a market structure shift to the upside here. After taking Asia, you're going to have traders who are just going to literally be trying to trade that move. So yeah, that was the idea at this point. If I just put that stop back there. Okay, so DXY, we go back to that. At this point, we're chopping and changing between the DXY and the USD CAD. The reason for that is if the DXY is going to go lower, it's going to pull this pair down. And in my journal, I did actually state that this trade kind of relies on the DXY going lower. From the daily time frame, I also had a bearish bias on the DXY, so on the dollar. As you can see, we tagged in here. This was a news last week. Tagged in, absolutely rinsed lower. Friday, we have an indecision, so an inside bar. There's no reason to change my bias at this point, and I'm looking to target this previous week's low. Okay, and as you can see, Monday we're printing towards that low. Jump back onto the actual trade. Oh God's sakes! So yeah, we was up to the 4 a.m. candle. And what we've seen then, obviously, at this point, 4 a.m., I'm in my trade. I'm confident on my bias. I'm not really looking to get out of it at this point. And I was still at the screen for another hour. So until 5 a.m., I will trade 5 a.m. New York time, which is 10 a.m. the UK. I'll trade up until that point. Once we get to that stage in the day, if the trade's in drawdown or whether it's in profit, for me, I walk away from the screen. I go about my business, and then we come back and we review, which is what we're doing now. So if I print out the next few candles, you can see we start to have that push back down here. Price is about halfway through that 1 hour. If we get up to 5 a.m., Okay, so we're coming up to 5 a.m. We've now respected that 1 hour fair value gap again. Okay, so if we go up, you can see that price has indeed tagged it one more time, started to move lower. Now, again, this is sort of an indecision candle. It's an inside bar, hasn't took the high of the previous candle or the low. So for me, I'm basically at this point, the London high, the stops are back to that. I don't see no reason for this London high, if we're bearish, to get broken. Okay, I don't see this fair value gap getting closed above now. We've gone in and closed below it again. So now I'm just expecting price to draw towards this low, and this low. Now I had this here, external range 4 hour. It was about 1.1 R from where my entry was. And you can see that price is indeed on this 4 hour. We took the high, we're targeting the low. We have done that. Okay, we still have an hour to go on the 4 hour, which is where we're pushing towards this low now. Okay, so we go back up into there. Let's move that to the side there. Okay, so now I've gone to the gym at this point. I'm not looking at the trade. I'm happy to either take the loss as a 1% or hit my 2% target. Okay, start to push price forward. You see 11 a.m. UK time. We start to open. We've had a market structure shift here. 5-minute FVG, where price is at right now, starts to push and help with price to go to the downside. We get this nice push here at the start of the new hour. Okay, and at this point, you can just see bearish candles. We may not be closing perfectly below them, which is what you'd really want to see. But at this point, I'm not even looking at the screen, so it's not really a big deal to me at this point. I'm just doing my thing. The trade, I'm trusting my higher time frame bias. Price comes back into this 5-minute FVG, continues to support price lower. Okay. Now, as we know, when you're in a trade and you're on the right side of price, all PD arrays that we want to support price to the downside in this instance should do so. We can easily draw these out. Okay. You've got this 5-minute FVG here. Price tags in, continues lower. Okay. Price makes another 5-minute FVG here, tags in, goes lower. Okay. Now, I did sort of monitor the screen at this point. I was just expecting price to come back up and continue lower. And that's exactly what price did do. Okay, as you can see, price comes in, tags in that 5-minute FEG, New York session starts, and boom, there's your 2-hour trade. Now, why am I not running this trade down to the lows? Well, I know price, I can come off replay now. I know price overall, I want it to draw down. Okay, but we are on a Monday. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to draw down straight from a Monday morning all the way and target the fucking external range instantly. It's not going to work like that. Price doesn't move like that. So what my idea was, we'll get a 2-hour trade to start the week, and then we'll see how this daily candle presents itself. Now, we can see that this high never did get broken, which means my moving of the stop loss was purely, just to be safe, and never did break the high, so my original stop loss area was a good level. And basically that's the trade. There's not really too much to it other than the DXY also being in sync with me. As you can see, downside movement all the way. Okay, you can see we have that 1-hour FVG, which a lot of traders would have waited to get tagged here. Price never did that. Okay, I also thought that may happen, but we're going off of this 4-hour internal range, just like we are on USD CAD. Okay, this candle here is your 1 a.m. London session, and we also took the high here. Okay, so we took Asia high in on the DXY. The 1-hour chart, when I was looking at this, we didn't have a supporting fair value gap to the downside here. Okay, where price was really sloppy on Friday, but we did take this Asia level, so we had a liquidity sweep. We closed not back below, but we close in a position where we can look to trade lower. Okay, price then prints out, as we said, the 2 a.m. candle has the sweep, 3 a.m. prints lower, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. all continued to follow the trend to the downside. Now, as I said, myself even, I did look and think this candle may wick up and tag into this 1-hour fair value gap, okay, and then do what it done. It didn't do that. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter either way because, like I said, the USD CAD pair already had the move into the 1-hour fair value gap. And what can we see that's presenting itself now? Okay, so we're in the 9 a.m. candle. I'd normally be coming ready to trade New York in the next candle at 10 a.m. We're within this 1 hour fair value gap. Now, we took both sides of this candle here. This swept, expecting this candle to go in and go lower. That's not seeming to happen at the moment. We still have 21 minutes left of this 1 hour candle to print price. What could happen is price will ultimately close back within this 1 hour fair value gap. Okay. And if it did that, I would probably be tempted to continue to ride the bias, which is bearish, towards my next target. Okay. So just putting this on live, so I don't really. Okay, so the external range for the 4 hour got taken. Now I will probably monitor this this 1 hour candle here and see how we finish. If we do close back above this pair, for me, it's done for the day. Okay, I don't really want to be riding a trade that I've already taken once today and not too sure on where price is going to go. Okay, with it being a Monday and the DXY seems to want to pull back as well at this moment in time. As you can see, we just started a new 4 hour candle also. So price may create a new 4 hour gap, not do so much in the New York PM session, and then provide us a trade in London tomorrow, or ultimately do it in Asia and we miss that trade. But the bias so far on our dollar, so DXY bias is correct, and also our USD CAD bias has been correct so far also. So that's the trade I took today on Monday the 15th. Okay, and if I do get the price reaction that I want to see here, I will also take another short and I will update on that if it does happen. But this is the trade that I took this morning. Okay, we got a nice 1 to 2 hour price. Did have a little bit of quite a deep retracement at this point, but ultimately the areas and the reason we took the trade was correct. Price then absolutely obliterated to the downside. Very, very smooth trade. You can see that the price is coming up, tagging in, coming up, tagging in, and ultimately hits it. Now, it's not a coincidence that after my trade does tag the 2 hour area, that we've now started to pull back and price seems to be going to an upside trend. The reason I take 2 hour trades is because from my back testing and from my knowledge of trading previous pairs and previous trades, 2 hours roughly about the amount that my strategy will get me without any sort of major pullbacks. Okay, so that's why I take 2 hour trades. Plus, I just find it less psychologically demanding if I can just set it and leave it. 2 hours, the 2% is not too much to the target. Okay, now on the other side of that, I could enter trades and target all the way down at the liquidity. You're talking 15 hour trades. It's never ever going to run consistently down all the week unless you get in on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Now, if I do get in on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday, I may ride the trades a little bit further depending on what the liquidity looks like on the 1 hour or the 4 hour, so the medium time frame charts. Okay, so I would obviously target these areas here. I will target every swing point I can. So here, here, I would have all these drawn out, and then I'd probably take my trade. Let's say this was a Tuesday or Wednesday. I wouldn't be too fussed about letting it run because I know the direction of the weekly candle should already have basically formed itself. Okay, what I don't know at the moment is what way the weekly candle is going to go. I know what I want to see, but price doesn't, because I want it to happen, doesn't mean price is going to do it. So with it being a Monday, this is a top setup for a Monday. Okay, this is it. 2R, I'm in, I'm out, and I'm not really looking to gain much more out of this trade. Okay, if I can get another setup, I will take it. But there's 4 days left of the week. There's no reason on a Monday, which we're not even taking a high or a low at this point, to guess where price is going to go. For all we know, price could print a higher Tuesday, then absolutely obliterate down. Price could come and smash down straight away from tomorrow onwards, or we don't know. So I'm not trying to guess the markets. I'm trying to work off what I know I can see in the market. Okay, so I'm just reacting, and yeah, that's it. So a nice 1 to 2 hour trade, and yeah, I will update myself and the videos if I do take a New York AM session trade.